We're going to do an overview of 3D PDFs in relationship to Anark Workstation today. Just wanted to go through the typical walkthrough that I do when I'm introducing somebody initially, regardless of whether they're interested in 3D PDF or Anark Collaborate. A lot of what people need to know is how do we actually create any kind of technical documentation? And the starting point for that is almost always Anark Workstation. And so this overlaps a little bit with training, but also a little bit of education, especially if somebody comes in and they're interested in 3D PDF and MBD. We can give them in 5 minutes or less a quick view of Anark Workstation, and they're usually fairly impressed as to how the tool works. So just to review very quickly, let's open up the PowerPoint of the different products and how they're working together. Normally, when we are engaging with somebody at the beginning, we're almost always starting with Anark Workstation. And again, up here, we're saying it's engineers and other TDP authors are the subject matter experts, people who might be heavily involved in model-based definition or CAD modeling or creating technical data packages currently and are looking for better ways to do it. You'll notice today that PDF is over here. 3D PDFs are to the side for Workstation. Much of our training materials that I'll show you in a moment, it involves just essentially creating 3D PDFs, one by one from Anark Workstation. The same workstation project can go and make Anark Collaborate technical data packages also. The recipes that are defined in Workstation can be deployed to Anark Publish to automate the creation of 3D PDFs or Anark Collaborate content. But a lot of the initial conversations that we have with people are the power that Anark Workstation has in creating recipes and content. And the easiest way to show that right off the bat is 3D PDF, but we consistently remind them that the exact same project is used to create web-based content in Collaborate. And so what we normally do is go off and talk a little bit about some of the 3D PDF samples that we show people. This is one that is a project that we did with the Navy NavAir. They wanted to prove out the concept of bringing together information from an assortment of different sources, which is typical of what happens with the TDP. Normally people are pulling together information such as notes or other type of documentation, different part numbers. These could come from attributes in the models. They could come from metadata in their systems. Often when we present this, we're saying, look, this looks like a drawing. If you're transitioning to MBD from drawings, this is actually a good way to show it at the beginning because it doesn't alarm people who are used to looking at drawings. It gives them a good feeling for things. But then we can go to the second page where this is where the Anark 3D PDF power comes into play. And this is a Creo model from a few years back, but you can see that we're retaining and publishing the GD&T that came from the original views. We're capturing the different views. We're cross-referencing the relationship from the GD&T to the underlying geometry according to the ASME Y14 standards. We can do things such as cross-sections and maintain cross-sections. So when we talk about the advanced MBD integration that's needed in order to get specialized content into Anark Workstation in order to work with it and create 3D PDFs, this is what we're talking about. Cross sections, the different views that you have here, the different GD&T that you're seeing, the relationship between the GD&T and the highlighted underlying entity. Okay, so that's a typical 3D PDF that we'll show people. This is a really good one too. This really shows the value of getting all these different views in that we can from these different systems. And we'll go ahead and activate that view. And so basically what you're seeing are different views that represent the way that you might want to inspect this. This is a quality inspection type of technical data package. So in addition to the views, we have the bill of characteristics. And this is very typical for the publication process, where you're getting the CAD data, you're getting the MBD views, but you might also be getting some additional information such as bill of characteristics or a bill of materials. We call it structured data as a whole, and Our customers often have a variety of different type of structured data that they want to bring in, combine with the CAD model or other technical data, and present it in different ways. So for example, when I pick this dimension here, what it does is activate the view and highlight the item that's to be inspected. So this does make it much easier for somebody to walk through and understand exactly what the expected bill of characteristics are for inspection, and they can walk through and one by one highlight them, look at them, and go through their inspection process. Currently, this document is just a static 3D PDF. It doesn't allow you to enter the information that you're finding when you're doing the inspection, and currently our customers have an assortment of different ways that they do that. One of the coolest 3D PDFs that I think we've ever made is the work that we're doing with Hydro-Quebec. In this case, this is CATIA data. It's a little bit unusual because they're using it for building information management. In this case, it's hydroelectric plants. So in this case, they wanted to have a technical data package that would replace an assortment of documents that they were delivering to the province of Quebec to show the different aspects of the hydroelectric projects that they're doing. It's in French. They have the different views that they established. The thing you should notice about this is that when I pick a view that they have created, what it does is it highlights and basically has a stamp for the engineer here, which basically says this view is approved for decision making. Now, you can go over and override that by picking this, and you'll see that the certification has disappeared. In French, it says for information purposes only. That's what the red at the bottom says here also. I don't speak French, and at this point, you can rotate it the same as you can any other view. But again, you're being told that, yeah, go ahead and do this, but this isn't the way that the engineer intended the viewpoint to be. And so they would prefer that you walk through the viewpoints in the way that the views have been stored and gather the information in that way. So for example, here's an elevation change view. And when I go through and do this one, again, there's all different ways that you can present information in these different views. You can see here, this is just a cross section that shows the cross section of that project. And the last one I'll show is a manufacturing process one. Many of you have seen this model over the years. And basically, instead of a technical data package that says how to manufacture and the specifications for a particular part, this is essentially showing you a process, some type of process for assembling together this electromechanical product. And so you can go through and pick the different steps. And we can include, for example, animations. And every time you pick a step, it'll highlight and show you the description, safety items, required parts, and when you pick the parts, it also highlights the supplier that's appropriate for that part. So what you see here is a cascade of information that basically is driven by the steps. When you pick a step, the step says, well, these are the parts, and then you can have all of this information that's stored in the PDF, and when it's appropriate, we show you that information in the different areas of the document. And then, of course, there are things like animations. Let's go ahead and connect the circuit board to the chassis so I can go ahead and show how that works. This is typical of the 3D PDFs that we're making for our customers, and the customers, Boeing, Lockheed, many others have very complicated 3D PDFs. And it all starts with Anark Workstation as the way to pull together this information to find these different aspects.